Welcome to Tales of the Night Sky. In these podcasts, I'll be telling you ancient stories and astral myths about the stars and constellations. Welcome back, listeners. There are two main myths about the constellation of Corvus, which explain why the bird's feathers were turned from white to black. The first is a just-so story in which Apollo punishes the crow for procrastinating in fetching him some water. The second is a story of extreme jealousy, oppression, brutal murder, and a shocking post-mortem caesarean, which leads to the birth of Asclepius, god of medicine and healing. I think you know which story we'll be telling you. Corvus.
Above the fat earth, below airy Olympus, I soar, wishing I had the power to undo. Beneath me, flames dance, smoke loops, my own feathers shine, silver-white plumes turned black-dark, pulling in the heat as I fly. This, the god's chastisement for the ill I have done. What matters now is only the flames' dance, beckoning me to you, Coronis. I have always done the god's bidding. Unquestioning, obedient, Apollo, my master, god of light and song and reason. Moderate, sweet Apollo, though many speak of his cold, cold heart. He has too many lovers, in my view. Men and women, women and men. Too many. Some throw themselves at the god's feet in awe. Some are taken brutally. Some unexpectedly charm the god and make him tumble into real love, or the closest thing to it. Ha! Coronis was broad-shouldered, big-boned, beautiful. Knew her own mind, that one. Steady, strong gaze. Didn't care what people said. Didn't care how a princess was meant to behave. For she was a princess of Thessaly. Lived calmly by her lake. Used to sit and dip her toes in the water. Had a hearty laugh. She loved life. Apollo liked that she didn't flinch in the face of violence. That her voice was deep and resonant, and that, though he was a god, she looked at him with her even, steady gaze. An equal. He fell deeply in love. So they tumbled together in her house by the lake. They tumbled together in the thick grass, or up in the mountains of Thessaly. Apollo drank her in deeply, drank her in. He used to hate tearing himself away from her gaze, her arms, her lips. But off he'd go to Olympus to perform his lofty deeds, or all over the land to visit his oracles, who were all rather exacting. Or sometimes he went to visit another lover, whose flesh felt altogether different from Coronis, but he always thought of her. In those days I kept close to Apollo, kept my beak closed, speak when spoken to. He called to me one day, "Corvus, my crow, my servant, I set you to watch my lady, the Lady Coronis, to make sure nothing happens to her. Neither too good nor too bad. Go, Corvus, go." I left Olympus, flew down to Thessaly, the lady's kingdom. Other birds dispersed. My arrival was disruptive. And Coronis shooed me away. So I became her follower. Hopped behind her as she sauntered to the water to dip her toes in, lie back indolently and lap up sunshine like a cat. I'd sit in the poplar tree above the lake, watching, preening. Fly overhead as she walked dusty roads, her eyebrows set deep in thought. She'd crush her bread to crumbs once in a while, throw them to me. Here, bird. Mostly, she just fixed me with those powerful, untrusting eyes, knowing I belonged to the god. She didn't look for trouble. Trouble found her. As she lay by the lake, eyes closed, fingers trailing wetness, trouble entered the perfect picture of that drowsy afternoon. A man approached and cast a shadow over Coronis's body, a stranger, stranger, stranger. She opened her lazy, long-lashed eyelids, looked at him for a long time, took in his air of mystery. He was a man, grimy from his travels, but handsome with it. His face grooved with lines when he smiled, and he did smile, as he let his gaze wander slow, slow, slow over Coronis's body. I cried out in warning, "The guard! The guard! The guard!" He didn't care. The days grew long. As I watched them, inching closer to each other, nosing each other's scents, eyes mirroring desire. "The guard! The guard! The guard!" She didn't care. I grew tired from my endless watching, one eye open, one eye closed, as I spied them night and day. Sleep took me early one evening, when the poplar tree had rustled to stillness. I woke up to a darkening sky. They were gone, no longer sitting by the lake, breathing each other in. I flapped out of my tree, soared to Coronis's home nearby, landed on the windowsill. Her room, there, right there. They were naked, ecstatic, clinging to each other. Oh, 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 Coronis! I flew fast. My silver-white wings whipped me high and true to Olympus. Apollo, Apollo, my master, Apollo, your lady, she's false. She's betrayed you. I saw her naked, with another, a man. If I'd have known, Coronis, I'd have kept my beak shut tight. Apollo, god of light, turned into light, blazing, furious, burning whiteness. He cried out. Oh, Coronis, I didn't know you were with child. Apollo's son in your belly as you lay in the stranger's arms. Apollo cursed you, cursed me, blazed anger. The light so bright it burnt me. I heard him call his twin, his sister Artemis, to him. Empty eyes, sorrow of your... What have I... Coronis? Silence. My vision returned slowly, my feathers, silver white before, now singed blue-black. Sorrow. You... Remembering you, I soared up, dove down to Thessaly, called out my warning, Coronis! Too late. You were outside, had been running to the lake, struck by Artemis's arrows. You lay face down on the earth, your back barbed with silver. The stranger lay some way behind you, on his side, mouth open, breath stopped by gold darts in his throat. Apollo's work. I circled upwards, circled, cried out my sorrow. They let your father remove the metal, tend to your body, build a pyre for you, place you carefully on the wood that had once been full of life, like you. You burned, Coronis, brightly, and the god wept. Apollo felt regret twist his reason. Apollo felt sorrow. He'd loved you. You were with child, his child. I screeched out, "The boy! The boy! The boy!" His senses returned. The child must be saved. He walked through the flames and they parted before him. He tore the baby from your lifeless body. I have never seen such a thing. Your flesh gave way as he cut the child out, held him close. The babe gasped his first breath. Coronis. I swirl up above the flames, calling out your name. The fire burns, burns, burns. The smoke gushes up, thick and dark. I falter in my flight, forgetting balance, forgetting flight, falling, willingly, achingly, into the flames. The fire engulfs me, my wings, my beak, my blinking eyes, my sight, my deeds. We burn together, you and I. The flames rise, high up to the heavens, where Apollo sets a bird in the night sky. Corvus, a constellation to remember you by. But I'm confused. Is it me, or is it you that shines up here, Coronis? Coronis? Coronis.